Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Yes, fellows and girls, here is an important message for you. A message direct from our fighting Marines in the Solomon Islands, echoed by our blue jackets on the high seas, by the boys who wear our Army and Navy wings, our troops in Africa, our commandos in England. In fact, by every man in the American Armed Forces, no matter where he may be. And here's the message. We're going to win this war, they say. We're going to wipe Hitlerism and fascism off the face of this earth. We've taken on the job, and we're going to see it through, but we can't do it alone. We can't do it without the help of every boy and girl and every man and woman back home. Now, we know the one way we can help those boys fight this war to a victorious finish is to see that they get all the guns and tanks and ships and planes they need. But those things require a lot of money, and that's where you and I come in. We help our government to buy those war materials by lending them our money, by buying all the war stamps we possibly can. Why, right at this moment, there are American fighting men on the new front, and they're equipped with guns and tanks and protected by planes and ships that you helped to buy. That is, if you've been buying war-saving stamps regularly. So let's make a promise to ourselves right now. Let's promise to buy war-saving stamps as often as we can. Tell Mother and Dad about it. See if you can't get them to give you a dime a day for a war stamp, or even a dime every other day. And remember that every dime is important, because 10 cents will buy 5 .45 caliber bullets to be used by our soldiers, sailors, and Marines. 5 dimes will buy enough fuel oil to take an American destroyer 1 full mile closer to its objective. And a dime a day from all the fellows and girls in the United States will buy enough fast pursuit planes to blast Hitler's Luftwaffe right out of the sky. So, start right now, won't you, to do your share to help win this war. And remember this slogan: every time that you've got a dime, buy a war-saving stamp.
And now, the adventures of Superman. In our last episode, you remember how Editor Perry White of the Daily Planet telephoned Clark Kent and told him to come right down to the office. As Kent hung up the phone, we heard him say something about a forgotten world and prehistoric creatures. Well, to find out what it's all about, let's join Kent now as he reaches the office of Editor White. Listen.
Hi, Chief.
Hello, Kent. Kent, I'm afraid I've gone and done it again. It's taken him years, but he's convinced me at last. He's a crackpot, an eccentric, an idiot in some ways, but he's convinced me.
Who's convinced you of what?
And you've heard of Dr. Leander Cameron, haven't you?
Yes. What about him?
And you've heard about his theories of the lost continent of Atlantis, that he believes still exists somewhere at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean.
Chief, you haven't.
Yes, Kent, I have.
Oh, no, Chief.
Now, Kent,
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Lois. Good to see you again.
That's right. You have been a stranger. Good work on that scoop, Clark.
Thanks.
Who helped you?
No one. I did it all with my little typewriter.
Will you two stop fencing with each other? We've got serious things to think of.
Serious? Lois, our good friend, Editor Perry White of the Daily Planet, has gone and done it again.
What do you mean?
You tell her, Chief. I can't.
Well, Lois, Dr. Leander Cameron, the celebrated ichthyologist and deep-sea diver.
Celebrated crackpot, you mean?
Now, Lois, I resent that.
All right. What about Dr. Cameron?
Well, you know, he's been after me for years to finance an undersea expedition to find the lost continent of Atlantis.
Yes?
Well,
Mr. White, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Oh, no.
Now, don't you start. His arguments are perfectly logical.
Can I come in?
May I come in?
Yeah, may I come in?
Come in, Jim. All right.
Something wrong, Mr. White?
What do you mean?
Well, that look on your face. You look kind of...
Yes, out with it.
Well, you look kind of silly.
What did you say?
He feels kind of silly, Jim. You see, he's just decided to finance another expedition.
Gee, that sounds swell.
An expedition to find the lost continent of Atlantis.
Well, gee...
An expedition to be headed by Dr. Leander Cameron.
Oh, no.
What? Well,
What have you got to say about it, you office boy?
Sir, I'm a reporter now.
What?
He is, Chief, he is. In a sense, at any rate. You remember I tried to trick the Jap saboteurs into believing they had the wrong formula? Well, Jim was the one who phoned in that story, and he did a swell job on it, too.
Well, thanks, Mr. Kent.
Yes, he did do a good job. Matter of fact, I'm going to try him out on a story today.
You are? You are?
Yes, Jim, and a very important job, too. If you succeed at it, well, there's no telling what heights you may reach as a reporter.
Oh, gosh. Well, what's the story?
Well, the Tiny Tots Kindergarten are forming a club to be called the Don't Kick Grandmother When She's Down Club. You can cover it.
Well, gee, say, is this a gag?
Yes, it's a gag. And it's meant to give you a rough idea of what I think of you as a reporter.
Now, wait a minute, Chief, wait a minute. After the job Jimmy's done, I don't think...
You're not paid to think about anything but your job. Yes, what is it? Huh? What? Oh, send him in. Well, he's here.
Who's here?
Dr. Cameron. Now, get this straight, all of you. I've promised to finance this expedition of his, and I'm not such a fool as I look.
Well...
What?
Oh, well...
You all think it's silly. Well, so will everyone else. And they'll follow the story in the Daily Planet just for laughs, if nothing more.
Hey, you got something there.
Well, thanks. And if Dr. Cameron turns out to be correct...
He won't.
Don't be too sure.
Dr. Leander Cameron, sir.
Leander, come in.
My dear friend. I think I must have fallen.
I think you must have collapsed.
No, I fell. My butterfly net caught on the knob of the door.
Wow. Just look at that pile of junk.
Well, Leander, I really don't know why you carry all that paraphernalia with you. What in the world do you need with a fire extinguisher?
Here, let me help you pick this stuff up.
Oh, thank you, sir. Laugh if you will, Terry, but my motto, like that of the Boy Scouts of America, is be prepared. Should there occur an unexpected fire, I'm ready for it. In this knapsack hanging over my left shoulder, I carry a kit of tools, wrenches, hammers, screwdrivers, etc. You never know when something may need fixing in a hurry. In this knapsack over my right shoulder, I carry medicines, aspirin, Ipecac, quinine, etc. Who knows but that some loved one may fall sick.
Yes, but why the pots and pans and cooking utensils?
Those I carry to keep myself fit for the trail. My work, as you must know, has led me into many strange parts of the world, places where stamina, the strength to carry on under great loads, is vital. Be prepared. That's my motto. There's nothing you could ask for that I do not carry on my person.
How about an ice cream soda, Doctor?
Jimmy.
Why not? I believe I have a small bottle of carbonated water somewhere, and I'm certainly capable of whipping together some ice cream with the chemicals I carry. What flavor?
Are you kidding? Gosh, I didn't think it could be done.
It can and shall be done. And while I'm concocting a delicious effervescent drink for the young man, perhaps, Perry, we can get down to the business at hand.
Huh? What? Oh, yes. Why not?
Mr. Kent and Miss Lane are to go along on the expedition?
They are?
Excellent. No doubt they've already informed you it is this silly venture.
Yes, they have.
Well, now, really, Dr. Cameron, the idea of a lost continent existing at the bottom of the Atlantic, a world filled with mammoth fish, sea serpents, and what have you, well, it is just fantastic.
To the untutored, unscientific mind such as your own, yes, but not to mine. Shall we make it a vanilla soda, Jimmy? I find I have some vanilla beans in the pack.
Yeah, sure.
What did I do with that folding cup? Oh, yes, here it is. Mr. Kent, Miss Lane, what do you know of the lost continent of Atlantis?
Very little, Doctor, except that it's a huge continent that once existed but is now at the bottom of the sea.
Then let me explain it to you. Atlantis is a so-called legendary island that was situated in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Atlantis had been a powerful kingdom 9,000 years before the birth of Solon. It is believed, or was believed, I should say, that due to sudden and catastrophic natural causes, the island one day sank into the sea, disappearing from view for the rest of time until the present day.
Gee, that's interesting.
I will not enter into the various scientific undersea explorations that have led me to believe that the continent of Atlantis actually exists, for you would never understand them. But it does. Of that I'm sure. And I want a chance to prove it. Not, mind you, for any gain that may accrue to myself, but for the sake of a wondrous idea that I have conceived that will change our modern conception of undersea warfare.
Sea warfare? What do you mean?
Mr. Kent, think what it would mean to have a base at the bottom of the ocean for submarines.
What?
The plan may sound fantastic at first, but I've planned everything very carefully. Hundreds of submarines could be based there, serviced and refueled, and kept in perfect operating condition. Let me see. Oh, yes, vanilla flavoring. Yes. Now, Now then, let me see. Oh, yes. I propose then, with the aid of Perry's money, to find this sunken continent.
Yes, all right. Now, just a minute, Doctor. Just a minute. How will you do it? After all, we are at war now, you know.
Yes.
Yes. The Atlantic is a sort of, shall we say, no man's land.
No man.
Yes, no man's land. Now, will we be permitted to take an expedition out into it? And suppose we do. This lost continent of Atlantis must lie at such a terrific depth that you'd never be able to reach it.
I will answer your questions one at a time. First, it is exactly because we are at war, exactly because the submarine base of which I speak would be so helpful, that we shall have no difficulty in securing permission to take an expedition into the Atlantic. In fact, I have already secured the necessary permission. As to the depth to which this lost continent lies, that too I've taken care of. Oh, let me see. Where is that carbonated water? Oh, here it is.
Gosh, looks just like a vanilla ice cream soda.
Looks like a vanilla ice cream soda? It is a vanilla soda. I have, of course, used dry ice for freezing the ice cream. Oh, here, my boy. See if it's to your taste.
Oh, thanks. Say, it's swell. Well, will wonders never cease?
Tell me, Dr. Cameron, how do you expect to overcome the obstacle of depth? How will you manage to get down that deep into the Atlantic?
A simple matter. Dr. Leander Cameron's multi-depth submarine and bathysphere will take care of that.
Your what?
My multi-depth submarine and bathysphere. It's anchored in the harbor now. Would you care to see it? We can get down there in 15 minutes for taxi.
Well, what do you say? Shall we go down and see it?
Oh, sure, you bet.
All right, then I'll get my coat. Well, what about it, Kent? Shall we go with Dr. Cameron on his undersea expedition, huh? What?
You have the nerve to go, Clark. I guess I have. Too exciting to miss.
Oh.
Dr. Cameron may be right, and to think of seeing with my own eyes a continent that existed over 9,000 years ago. Why, it's just wonderful. An undersea expedition. It's thrilling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It certainly is. And, well, I'm game to try it.
All right.
Then I take it, Perry, we can consider the matter closed.
Yes, Doctor. Yes, you can.
We shall all leave in a day or two in my multi-depth submarine and bathysphere in search of the lost continent of Atlantis.
Well, this does sound exciting, doesn't it? Think of going in search of a lost continent that lies at the bottom of the ocean. And think of going on such a trip with such a strange character as Dr. Leander Cameron. Looks like there are plenty of thrills in store for us, so be sure to tune in tomorrow and every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman.
Fellows and girls, don't ever get the idea there's nothing you can do to help win this war. Of course, we can't all be members of Uncle Sam's armed forces because some of us are too young or too old. But that doesn't mean we can't get into this fight. No, sir. Because there is one big important thing we can do. We've got to see that our fighters are supplied with all the bullets and guns and tanks and ships and planes they need to wipe Hitlerism and fascism off the face of the earth. How? Simply by buying all the war-saving stamps and bonds we possibly can. Because every time we buy a war-saving stamp or bond, we lend our government money with which to finance our fight. So remember, talk with Mother and Dad tonight about giving you an extra dime every day or every other day for war-saving stamps. Talk about it with all your friends. Get them to make a pledge with you to buy war-saving stamps regularly.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
This is Mutual.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Fellows and girls, every day the city, state, and national offices of civilian defense organizations are swamped with letters from young people like yourselves. And most of these letters ask, what can I do, what part can I take in the national war effort? The writers of these letters are all too young to join the United States Armed Forces, too young to join any of the numerous home defense groups. And yet they ask, isn't there something we can do? Some of you listening now are no doubt among those who have written these letters. And I'll bet many of you who have not written have thought the same thing. Well, the answer is a very simple one, and here it is. You can do your part in civilian defense. You can help to win this war by buying war-saving stamps regularly. How does that help, you ask? How can my dime, or 20, or 40, or 50 cents help to win this war? That's easy, too. For instance, your dime, just 10 cents, will buy 5 .45 caliber bullets that can be used by our soldiers, sailors, or Marines to knock 5 Japs or 5 Nazis out of commission. And believe me, it's going to take a lot of those bullets to knock them all out and win the war. Another thing, 50 cents, which represents 5 10-cent or 2 25-cent war-saving stamps, will buy enough fuel oil to bring one of our destroyers a full mile closer to the Jap fleet in the Solomon Islands. And you know what happens when our Navy gets close enough to turn on the heat. And here's one more thing for you to think over. If every fellow and girl in the United States bought at least 5 10-cent war-saving stamps every day, the amount of money they'd lend to the government would buy enough fighter planes and bombers to blast Hitler's Luftwaffe right out of the air. So remember that each and every dime is important. That buying war-saving stamps is a very important way to help win the war. So why not pledge today to buy war-saving stamps regularly? And keep in mind this slogan. Every time you've got a dime, buy a war-saving stamp.
And now, the adventures of Superman. A great adventure is in store for all our friends. In our last episode, we heard how Editor Perry White had decided to finance an expedition in search of the lost continent of Atlantis, believed to be lying below the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. As we take up our story today, the time is several days later. The place, a private stretch of beach some short distance outside Metropolis. The cold, heavy mist of early dawn hangs low over the water, and through it we can just make out the long gray lines of a submarine lying offshore. Standing on the beach, dimly seen through the gray smoke of dawn, stand 4 people. Clark Kent, Lois Lane, Editor Perry White, and Jimmy Olsen. Listen.
Hey, look out. That surf is running pretty high up onto the beach. Yes, I just escaped getting my feet wet that time.
Well, let's move up the beach a bit. Tide's coming in fast.
Golly, it's cold, too. When are we going aboard the submarine?
We're going to be inside that submarine for a long time once we get started. Besides, we've got to wait till Dr. Cameron arrives.
Well, I can stand it if the rest of you can. It's amazing. Simply amazing.
What's amazing, Lois?
Well, I keep thinking it was only a few days ago that we were discussing this fantastic expedition in your office, trying to decide if we'd even go along. And now here we are. There's Dr. Cameron's multi-depth submarine and bathysphere, or whatever you call it, waiting for us offshore, filled with food and supplies for months, all sorts of scientific paraphernalia, everything.
That's Leander Cameron for you. He may look like a crackpot and act like one, but by golly, he lives up to that motto of his, be prepared.
The minute you said we'd go, he told us he'd arranged for everything.
Yes.
Would have everything aboard in less than 24 hours. All he needed was the money to pay for it.
I only hope it's worth the money. Even if we don't find the lost continent of Atlantis...
What do you mean, even? You don't really expect to find it, do you?
Well, I say even if we don't find it, people will read the stories in the Daily Planet just for laughs. And I don't care why they buy the paper, just so they buy it.
Gosh, I wish we hadn't let that taxi go.
Why?
Well, we could have sat in that till the doctor got here.
If you really want to learn to be a reporter, Jim, you'll have to learn to take it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Now, understand, young man, we don't want any trouble from you. The only reason your school principal permitted you to come along was because of the expedition's great educational value. Any monkey shines out of you, though... Wait a minute. What's that?
Something is coming. Judging from the racket, it's Dr. Cameron.
I've never heard a man make so much noise in my life.
Wait, that's not Leander. It's something approaching on a motorcycle.
It doesn't look human. Looks like some strange creature out of a nightmare. Clark, what is it?
Well, it must be Dr. Cameron.
It just can't be. I tell you, the thing riding on that motorcycle isn't human.
Oh, it's human, all right, only it's wearing a diving outfit. Suit, helmet, the works.
What?
You mean to say that's Dr. Leander Cameron arriving on a motorcycle in a diving suit?
Well, now, how did you expect him to arrive? In a taxi in civilian clothes? Oh, that'd be much too normal and ordinary for Dr. Cameron.
Holy mackerel, look. He's weaving all over the beach on that thing.
We better get to a safe place before we run down.
You're right. He's coming straight for us.
No, wait. He's veering off. Oh, boy, that was close.
Close? Nothing. Look at me. I'm covered with wet sand from head to foot.
Me too.
He's swinging around, heading this way. Here he comes again. Look out.
Daddy, stop that thing.
Stop it. Why, he can't even steer it. Doctor, isn't it?
Look out. He's going to fall.
Great Scott, he's been killed. I know he's been killed.
Oh, dear.
Here, we got to get that helmet off him.
I'll help.
Easy, Jim, easy. Wait a minute.
Oh, the poor man.
Yeah, hold on to yourself, Lois.
All right, now, Jim, lift the helmet off.
Hey.
Good morning.
What? Oh, good morning. You made it, I see.
Ah, yes, always do. Never say die. Be prepared. That's my motto. Somebody help me collect my gear and scientific paraphernalia.
Leander, now, for the love of Pete, will you tell me why you're wearing a diving suit and helmet?
Oh, for convenience sake, convenience sake.
Convenience?
Yes, you see, just as I was leaving my house to come here, I remembered I had not packed my diving outfit. One can't go on a diving expedition without a diving suit, can one? We shall need it before we're through.
Yes, but if you'd only tell
I
us
was
why...
forced to bring it along, and since I was carrying my usual accoutrement, there was only one way to carry the suit. I wore it.
Boy, you've got a reason for everything. Here we've been freezing to death waiting for you.
Ah, yes, it is a cold morning, isn't it? Always colder near the water, too. A cup of coffee, anyone?
Well, don't tell me you've got a thermos of coffee with you.
No, but what is there to prevent our making some?
Well, you made an ice cream soda for Jimmy the other day, but now don't tell me you're going to whip together some coffee for us now.
With rationing upon us?
What is rationing to a scientist? A few chemicals tossed lightly together and presto, coffee, a cream of sugar.
There'll be no coffee, Leander, till we go aboard and get started. The boat's waiting at the edge of the beach to take us out to the sub. Come on now, let's go.
The crew already aboard?
Yeah, what there is of them. 3 men are on the submarine. How do you expect to do it?
The Cameron multi-depth submarine in bathysphere is mine own, Perry. Leave the running of it to me.
All right, you run it.
Oh, golly, let's go.
Wait a minute. Dr. Cameron, what are you going to do with that motorcycle?
Take it aboard with me, of course.
What? The submarine is so full now, I'm wondering if we'll be able to come to the surface once we submerge. No room for the motorcycle.
No room?
No.
No room? Of course there's room. I've arranged for everything.
Uh-huh.
A place for everything, and everything in its place, I always say.
Yes, and I always agree. But how are you going to get that motorcycle stowed aboard the sub?
I will show you. You see, I myself constructed this motorcycle. It is very light, made of plastic, you know, and it's collapsible.
It's what?
The frame, collapsible, the frame folds together so. Then the wheels themselves telescope so, becoming an 8 form size. There. Ever see a small package in your life?
Oh, Doctor, you amaze me. You're simply astounding.
I often think so myself, Miss Lane. Well, if we're ready to go aboard, you're Xing away, says I. Tend away.
Boy, I'll sure be glad to get out of this cold. Let's go.
Well, come on, everyone. Let's go down to that dinghy and row out to the sub. The quicker we get started, the better.
Right you are, Perry. We must lose no time in reaching the lost continent of Atlantis.
Doctor, we've been in this multi-depth submarine of yours for 8 hours, and we haven't submerged yet. We keep running on the surface. Golly, I was all excited about going beneath the surface in a submarine.
Rather distressing if you went below the surface without a submarine. A joke.
Yes.
Are you kidding?
Jimmy just meant that he's been looking forward to diving in a real submarine, Doctor, and so far the thrill hasn't materialized.
Well, why don't we submerge, Leander? It seems to me we're using a good deal of oil for those diesels.
We have sufficient for our running schedule. I do not need to say, Perry, that I shouldn't needlessly use oil in these perilous times. Oil is ammunition. However, we must save our batteries and electric motors for underwater use as much as we can.
I see what you mean, Doctor. You're referring to the time when we'll be doing a good deal of diving to reach the lost continent of Atlantis.
Exactly. Now, it seems to me that... Yes, Nicodemus?
Excuse me, folks. Doc.
I've already said yes, Nicodemus. However, I will repeat it. Yes, Nicodemus.
You needn't be sarcastic about it.
I wasn't being sarcastic. I merely said...
Sometimes the way you talk, you think I wasn't wanted around here.
Nicodemus, you're too sensitive. All I said
I know what you said. Well, let it pass. Chesterton report, the batteries are fully charged. I think we ought to submerge for maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Everything in working order?
Would I be submerging if it wasn't?
All right. Don't fly off the handle. Go ahead and submerge.
Thank you. It's very kind of you.
He go around with a chip on his shoulder all the time?
Oh, wonderful man, Nicodemus. Wonderful. Best man possible on a submarine. Just one little trouble with him. He's sensitive.
Are we going to submerge?
Yes, my boy. Last you're going to have your great thrill. Here you can watch through this porthole over here as we go below the surface.
Golly.
There's the signal now to stop the diesels and turn on the electric motors.
Golly. Look, everybody. The water's coming up over the window. We're submerging.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Well, I've done it before, but it never fails to thrill me.
Now, we won't go far below the surface since there's no need for it. We merely want to change from diesel power to electric, that's all.
Well, even so, just going below the surface is thrilling enough.
We're under. Look. Everything's green. A sort of light green that's getting darker.
Yes, the deeper we go, the darker it'll get, of course.
Well, how long can we stay under, Leander?
Well, Perry, the ordinary submarine running at from 1 to 1.5 knots can remain below the surface for 30 hours. We can remain below in the Cameron multi-depth submarine in bathysphere for 37 hours.
Seems to me the government could be interested in a submarine like this.
Oh, they are, Miss Lane. They've already made certain tests. What's that?
I don't know. I can't imagine it.
Well, it would appear there's trouble afoot, or should I say underwater?
Never mind how you say it. Come on.
Golly. What could have happened?
I don't know, Jim. I don't know.
Nicodemus! What has happened?
I don't know, Doc. Something's gone wrong with the main ballast tanks. I can't close them.
You can't close
Wait,
them.
heavens, man. Doesn't that mean...
It means we're going down fast. There ain't a thing I can do about
If
it.
there's something wrong with the motor, surely you can fix them.
No, it's not the motor, Smith. Something's jammed inside the main ballast tank, which means we can't control the intake or the outlet of water.
Golly.
But you've got to do something, man.
There's nothing I can do. Nothing nobody can do.
Oh, golly. If only Superman were here now.
What could he do?
Well, he could take us back to the surface. He could... Holy mackerel. No, he couldn't. He'd be inside here with us. And to lift the submarine to the surface, he'd have to be on the outside. And how could he get out without letting the water in here?
Exactly what I've been thinking myself.
Helpless, Superman in his guise of Clark Kent stands by with his friends while the submarine drops lower and lower through the ocean depths. Seemingly, there is nothing he can do, and yet, well, perhaps we can leave it to Superman to figure a way out. So be sure to be with us Monday and every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow the adventures of Superman.
Well, there goes Superman until Monday. Meanwhile, don't let the weekend go by without buying your share of war savings stamps. And remember what I told you at the beginning of this program, you fellows and girls who are too young to join the armed forces or any of the national defense organizations. You can do your part. You can help win this war by buying war savings stamps. So let's make a pledge right now to buy war savings stamps regularly. Talk it over tonight with Mother and Dad. Ask them to give you a dime every day or even every other day for war savings stamps. And then buy some extra ones out of your regular weekly allowance. And see if you can get your friends to buy stamps regularly, too. Or why not organize a war savings stamp club right in your neighborhood? And make this your club slogan. Every time that you've got a dime, buy a war savings stamp.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
This is Mutual.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend the steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Fellows and girls, don't ever get the idea there's nothing you can do to help win this war. Just because you can't join the Army or Navy doesn't mean that you can't be part of this big fight to preserve the American way of life. No, sir, not at all. There is one big important thing you can do, and I'm going to tell you about that right now. You see, aside from the fact that we can't all be soldiers, sailors, or Marines, because we're too young or too old or something, it's necessary for a good many of us to stay right here where we are. As a matter of fact, Uncle Sam says that for every man in the armed forces, there must be 11 people back home to keep them well supplied and to see that everything runs smoothly. It's sort of like a civilian army that cooperates with the armed forces to help win the war. And that's where you come in, you and I, for we're all members of this civilian army. And the best way we can help our boys at the front is to buy war-saving stamps and bonds and buy them regularly. How does that help? Well, let me tell you. It helps our government to finance the war. It helps to buy the guns and the tanks and planes and all the other things the Army, Navy, and Marines need to knock out the Japs and the Nazis. For instance, every time you buy a 10-cent war-saving stamp, your dime will pay for 5 bullets. And every 5 10-cent stamps buys enough fuel oil to carry a destroyer a full mile. So you see how important it is for you to buy a war-saving stamp every time you've got a dime. Now see if you can't get Mother or Dad to give you a dime every day or every other day with which to buy war-saving stamps. Talk about this with all your friends. Ask them to buy war-saving stamps regularly. Ask your mother and your dad and all your neighbors and relatives to sign Minuteman pledges. Do all that you possibly can to build up the sale of war-saving stamps and bonds. And that is what you can do to help win this war.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Superman and his companions in adventure are now in the midst of the most exciting adventure of their career, for they are on an expedition led by the eccentric old explorer, Dr. Leander Cameron, to find the lost continent of Atlantis, believed to be located at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. As our last episode came to a close, our friends were in grave danger. Traveling in Dr. Cameron's multi-depth submarine and bathysphere, they had started to submerge when suddenly... Oh, but wait. Listen.
There's the signal for us to submerge. Listen, you'll hear the diesel motors stop and the electric motors start.
We're starting to submerge. Look here through this porthole. We're going down. Golly, just look.
By heaven, I've submerged in a submarine I don't know how often, but I always get a kick out of it.
Well, this is exciting. Not nervous, are you, Clark?
Oh, just a little. I try not to be, Lois, but somehow I can't help being just a little afraid.
It's your nature, I guess. There's nothing you'll ever be able to do about it.
I'm afraid not.
Look, the water's starting to rise above the porthole. Everything looks green and getting darker all the time. We're under. We've submerged.
Watch carefully, my boy, and you'll begin to see the fishes of the ocean.
Fish swimming around in their natural surroundings. Gosh.
Yes, there's certainly nothing like... Wait, what's that?
Sounds like something's gone wrong.
Don't get excited now, Clark, whatever it is.
Come on, something's happened. The electric motors have stopped. Through here, quickly. Nicodemus! Nicodemus!
Hey, what do you want, Doc?
What's happened? What's wrong? Why have we stopped?
We haven't stopped. The motors have stopped. We're still sinking, though.
What do you mean?
Something's gotten jammed in the main ballast tank. I can't close it.
Well, what does that mean?
It means the ballast tanks are filling with water. The more they fill, the lower we'll sink. Not only that, but I won't be able to blow the tanks to come up.
Oh, great heavens, we can't just stand here doing nothing about it.
Maybe you got some ideas, lady. If you have, let me have them.
Holy mackerel, we are in a spot.
We must not lose courage. Leave everything to me. I, Dr. Leander Euthanasia Cameron, will lead you all to safety.
How, Leander? How? If we can't bring the sub to the surface, what can possibly save us?
Well, first, let me ascertain how desperate our plight may be. Nicodemus, just what is jammed in the main ballast tank?
How do I know? Can I get inside the tank with it full of water?
Nicodemus, I do not like your attitude. We're all in trouble, grave trouble.
Well, why blame me for it?
No one's blaming you. I'm merely trying to find out what can be done to save it.
Nothing. There's nothing nobody can do. We're finished. We're through.
Leaping mackerel.
You're defeated. Did Washington give up at Valley Forge? Did Stanley give up in Africa? Did Lincoln give up?
I ain't no Washington, and I ain't no Stanley, and I ain't no Lincoln. I ain't nobody but me, Nicodemus Company. And when I say we're sunk, we're sunk.
And when I say that I, Dr. Leander, euthanasia Cameron, shall lead us all to safety, I mean that, sir.
Ah, you're crazy.
Now, look here, you two. We're in
How
trouble
dare
enough
you,
without...
Nicodemus? How dare you look at me in that tone of voice?
But I'm trying to explain to you, Doctor, that
What's about the escape chamber, eh? What's about that?
The escape chamber. By heaven, it never occurred to me. But of course, you must have such a device on this submarine.
What's an escape chamber, Mr. Kent?
Escape chamber, Jim, is a waterproof room in a submarine that can be closed off from the rest of the sub to permit escape when submerged without flooding the sub.
That's right, Jim. You enter the chamber, as I understand it, seal it off from the rest of the submarine, and then you let it fill with water.
Let it fill with water? Yes. Well, holy mackerel, what happens to you then?
Well, before the chamber fills with water, you put on what is known as a mumps and lung, a mechanism that permits you to breathe as you reach the surface.
Jumping Jiminy. You mean we'll have to leave the submarine underwater and go up to the surface with just one of them mumps and lung things?
Well, they're quite safe. Well, it looks as if we've nothing to worry about now.
Yeah, that's what you think.
Now what, Nicodemus?
Don't you think I'd have thought of the escape chamber before this if it could be used?
What do you mean?
Oh, hang it all, Doctor. You know as well as I do that the metal door sealing off that chamber is controlled by our motors.
Well, what of it?
The motors have gone dead, mister. Didn't you hear them stop? We can't possibly operate the chamber. We can't even get inside it.
You mean we're trapped?
Yes.
Holy mackerel.
What are we going to do?
Like I said before, there's nothing we can do. Unless the great Dr. Leander Cameron still thinks he can lead us to safety.
No, I've reached my Waterloo. Should I say Waterloo? No, this is no time for joking. I will not say it.
Great heavens, Nicodemus, isn't there any way of repairing the mechanism? We're sinking lower all the time.
We certainly are. The gauge shows we're down a quarter of a mile.
Quarter of a mile below the surface and sinking lower all the time.
And there's no way of repairing the mechanism?
Don't you think I'd repair it if I could? The trouble's in the main ballast tank. I can't get at it. And I can't fix it if I can't get at it.
Oh, but we can't die in here. We'll suffocate after a while. Die of strangulation.
Unless we sink so deep the pressure of the water crushes the submarine.
Oh, no.
I can't stand it. I've got to get out of here. I can't stand it. I tell you, I can't.
Now, Ken, in the name of heaven, hold on to yourself.
My nerves can't take it. I want to scream.
And I told you to hold on to yourself.
I can't hold on to myself. I can't, you hear? I can't.
You asked for this.
Oh. Holy mackerel, Mr. White, you knocked him out.
Yes, and I think I've broken my hand. He's got a jaw of iron.
Oh, golly, if only Superman were here. Not inside here, but outside. He'd help us. He'd get us out of this mess.
Well, for once, Superman isn't here when we need him, Jim. I guess we can't expect him to save our lives all the time.
But you can expect Superman to save your lives, Lois and Jimmy. For little do you realize that the man you think is the cowardly Clark Kent, the man now lying on the floor of the submarine pretending to have been knocked senseless by an ordinary mortal, is actually Superman himself. And little do you suspect that as he lies there, his hand is slowly moving toward a heavily insulated electric cable that stretches along the length of the submarine near the floor. His hand reaches the cable, and quietly holding it in his powerful grip, he tightens his hand, crushing the cable to powder. And at the very moment when his hand is crushing the electric wires together, there is a sudden flash, and the lights of the submarine go out.
The lights have gone out. Nicodemus, what was the flash?
I don't know. Looked like a short circuit.
This situation seems to be getting worse. What'll happen next?
This is what is happening next, Perry White. In the darkness, Clark Kent has become Superman, and even now has reached the door of the escape chamber. The door is a metal sliding panel controlled by the motors of the sub. Superman places his palms against the metal, for there is no place he can get a grip, and slowly forces the panel to slide back.
What was that? Did you hear anything?
I heard something.
It sounded to me like the metal panel of the escape chamber sliding back. Nicodemus, do you suppose by some electrical freak that door is open?
Of course not.
Well, let's investigate anyhow. You never can tell. You never can tell.
But even as our friends stumble toward the metal door through the dark, Superman, now inside the chamber, closes the metal door against them. There.
That part of the submarine is sealed off. They'll be safe till I can get them up. Now, let's see. There's the escape hatch. Have that open in no time at all. There we are. Now, up through the hatch. There. I'm outside the submarine. No, she's sinking fast. Well, I'll just grab hold of the conning tower. So, and up to the surface we go.
It'll soon be dark.
Yes. It's lovely up here in the conning tower, looking off across the ocean at twilight. Doctor, how long before Nicodemus can fix that ballast tank?
It's hard to say, Miss Lane, hard to say. Can't get a word out of him. Very sensitive man, Nicodemus. Very.
I still can't get over how we got to the surface.
Well, as Lois says, it must have been Superman.
There can't be any other explanation for it. What other power could have suddenly brought us to the surface?
Beyond me.
Oh, it must have been Superman. Couldn't have been anyone or anything else.
The thing I really don't understand, Clark, is how you got soaking wet.
Yes, I can't understand that myself.
When we finally got the conning tower open and got some light to see by, there you were, stretched out where you'd fallen after I hit you. But you were soaked through. Yet the inside of the sub was dry as a bone.
I don't know.
Very strange, I must say. Very strange. Well, there are many things one cannot explain.
Well, there's one thing I can explain. I've got a hollow feeling in my stomach. Explanation? I'm hungry.
Yes, it's almost dark and certainly close to dinner time. Well, let's go blow and... Wait a minute. What's that?
Something rearing up out of the sea just off our beam.
It's hard to see. It's getting so dark, though.
It's another submarine.
Another submarine?
Yes. A German U-boat.
What? No, Kent, how in the world can you see that?
I always could see pretty well at night. This is only twilight. There's a swastika on the conning tower of that sub.
I see it. I see it now.
This looks like trouble. If only we could submerge.
Yes, but we can't submerge until Nicodemus fixes those motors.
Wait a minute. The conning tower on that U-boat is opening.
Huh?
Now, men are coming out of the sub onto the deck.
Yes, I see them myself now. Well, what do you think they're going to do?
They're moving over toward the cannon on deck. Something tells me... Yes, by heaven, they're training that gun at us.
What do you mean? You don't mean they're going to shoot us out of the water?
Oh, they wouldn't do that.
Oh, the Nazis might do anything. Kent, does it look as if they were going to fire on us?
There's your answer, Chief.
Well, what sort of trouble have our friends got themselves into now? Why is the Nazi U-boat firing on them? Does the enemy intend to sink Dr. Cameron's submarine? Well, there are tremendous adventures in store for our friends in our next episode, so be sure to listen. And listen every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman.
Did you ever stop to think why American machine gun crews make such good scores in their battles against the Japs and the Nazis? Their teamwork, their super marksmanship comes from practice. Practice every day until they can hit the bullseye practically every time. But that much practice eats up an awful lot of bullets. And that's just where you come in. You buy bullets for machine gunners every time you buy war stamps. 5 bullets for every 10-cent stamp. So get behind your team by buying stamps just as often as you can. Can you think of anything more exciting to buy for your dime than 5 .45 caliber bullets? 5 bullets for American soldiers to use in protecting your home from the Japs or the Nazis. So, get going with this slogan. Get your stamps today and every day.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine. This is Mutual.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More more powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Fellows and girls, somewhere in the Solomon Islands, there are a lot of big, tough, fighting Marines. And they're carrying guns that you may have helped to buy for them. That is, if you've been buying your share of war-saving stamps for victory. You see, every single dime you exchange for a war-saving stamp helps to buy the guns and bullets, the planes and bombs, the ships and the shells that are going to lick the Nazis and the Japs. Now, we know that all red-blooded Americans can't actually wear Uncle Sam's uniform. Because some of us are too young or too old to join the Army or Navy. But there is one big important way we can help. We can buy war-saving stamps and bonds. We can lend our money to Uncle Sam and put weapons into the hands of American fighting men. Why, do you know that your dime spent for a war stamp is the same dime used to buy 5.45 caliber bullets? I guess you know, too, and the Japs and the Nazis certainly do, what a soldier or sailor or Marine can do with 5 bullets. And speaking of sailors, you might be interested to learn that every time you buy 5 war stamps, that same 50 cents buys enough fuel oil to carry an American destroyer a full mile closer to its objective. Now, that makes buying war stamps pretty exciting, doesn't it? So look, let's make a promise to ourselves right now. Let's promise to buy war-saving stamps every week, regularly. And you can help even more than that. You can get your friends and your mother and father and all the people you know to buy war stamps and bonds regularly. And they'll want to help, too, when you explain to them how important it is for all of us to do our share to help our brothers and our friends in uniform. Our boys are going to win this war, and we've simply got to help them. So remember this slogan. Repeat it often to your family and friends. Every time that you've got a dime, buy a war-saving stamp.
And now, the adventures of Superman. The Superman, in his disguise of Clark Kent, and all our friends are now on an expedition to find the mysterious lost continent of Atlantis, a legendary land believed to lie at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. They are making the hazardous trip in the multi-depth submarine and bathysphere of Dr. Leander Cameron, a strange and eccentric explorer. In our last episode, we heard how Superman saved our friends from death when their crippled submarine submerged out of control. Brought to the surface by Superman, they were standing in the conning tower at twilight, waiting for Dr. Cameron's sub to be repaired, when suddenly Perry White spied something coming up out of the water. Listen.
Well, look off there. Something's just come up out of the water.
Golly, what can that be?
It's another submarine. A German U-boat.
Clark, how can you tell it's a German U-boat? It's getting so dark, I can just about see the sub myself.
Well, it could see well at night. Now, look hard. See there?
Yeah?
Swastika on the conning tower of that sub.
I see it. I see it now.
This looks like trouble. If we could only submerge, Leander.
But you know we can't submerge until Nicodemus fixes those motors.
Look. The conning tower on that U-boat is opening. Men are coming out of the sub onto the deck.
I see them myself now. Well, what do you think they're going to do?
And they're moving over to the cannon on deck. Something tells me that... Yes, by heaven, they're training that gun at us.
Golly.
You don't mean they're going to shoot us out of the water?
Well, there's your answer, Chief.
Why, the filthy rat!
Those were just warning shots. Just in case we had any ideas about trying to escape. Uh-oh, they're going to board us.
They are.
Golly, what do you think will happen to us now?
Hard to say, Jim. But we're in for trouble. That I can tell you.
Oh, it never fails. Out of the frying pan into the fire.
That reminds me. Didn't you say you were hungry, Jimmy?
Are you kidding?
I'm afraid we've all lost our appetites, Doctor.
Oh, nonsense. We're not going to let a few Nazis ruin our dinner, are we? Perry?
Yes, Leander?
You take care of those Nazis, will you? Find out what they want and send them about their business.
What?
While I go below and prepare dinner. You all like anchovies?
Oh.
Yes, we just love anchovies.
Excellent. I shall prepare them.
If you have any artificially colored strychnine, prepare that, too.
I don't think I have any of that, but I'll look.
That man's crazy.
Uh-oh. Here come the Nazis.
Ahoy!
Ahoy yourself!
We are coming aboard.
Nothing much we can do about that, I suppose.
Wouldn't do anything if you could.
Look, they're putting off in a small boat. 3 of them.
It looks like the commander of the sub and 2 of his aides.
Gosh, why didn't we realize something like this might
We
happen?
did, Jim, but we thought if we met up with any of the enemy, we could just submerge and get away from them.
And the trouble is, our motors are out of commission. And there's nothing we can do until Nicodemus fixes them.
Nothing we can do now even after he fixes them.
Look, they're coming alongside. Gosh, that commander looks tough.
Lend me a hand here.
No, go jump in the nearest ocean.
Good for you, Mr. White.
Give me a hand. I need to come aboard. You! Take me here.
Yes, sir. Yes, of course.
Clark!
They've got guns with them, and we're unarmed. I'm not taking any chances.
Really, I always thought you
Oh, stop it, Lois.
You do not help us aboard. This is the multi-depth submarine in Bathysphere I have heard so much about. And who is this strange-looking monstrosity?
Sir, I'm Dr. Leander Euthanasia Cameron, owner of the multi-depth submarine Bathysphere and leader of this expedition.
Oh. Then you are just the man I'm looking for.
You were looking for me, what for?
To tell you this, Herr Doctor. Up to now, your expedition has been sponsored by your own government. Or should I say sponsored by a newspaper with the approval of your government. From now on, however, your expedition will be controlled by the German government.
There is a word I rarely use, Commander, because it is a very strong word, and I need it only to express the greatest distaste. I say that word to you now. I say to you, nothing.
I do not follow your meaning. However, it is no matter. I am taking command here. You will continue with your expedition. And if you succeed in finding the lost continent of Atlantis, you will do so in the name of the Führer.
Not to the Fuhrer.
Jimmy.
Oh, you young Schweinhund. You insulted our Führer. Perhaps your filthy mouth will be silenced like this.
Oh, Jimmy. You despicable loath.
Lois. Jimmy, all right?
Clark, he's unconscious.
He hit his head against that stanchion when he fell, Kent.
See. I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
What's that?
Skull, I'm afraid.
Oh, no. Jimmy.
Kent, what is it?
It's like a fractured skull to me.
That is too bad. But he should not have insulted the Führer.
Why, you dirty, low-down, filthy Nazi swine. I've a good mind.
Yes. I will listen to no more insults from you. Another such word from your mouth and you die. This pistol is no toy. And now you.
Me?
Yes, you. Think I do not know what you did to me when I came aboard? Look at me. I'm soaking wet. Why? Because you deliberately let me fall into the water.
Oh, it was an accident.
It was no accident. And I will repay you for it soon. Get up onto the deck. All of you.
What for?
Don't ask questions. Do as you told, my schnell.
Okay.
Now, look here. I'm sick and tired of this. I refuse to be
You
ordered.
do
And
as you are
furthermore-
told, or I will shoot you down like a dog.
What about Jimmy?
Yes, the boy, Commander. What about him?
It is unfortunate, but I cannot waste time in pits. Now move.
You filthy swine.
I have heard enough from
Mr.
you.
White! Mr. White! They shot Clark. Look, he's fallen overboard.
I threw himself in front of you to save you.
Good heavens. I can't see him. We've got to save him.
There you are. That's his own fault. You are not more careful, the same will happen to all of you.
Oh, poor Kent. He did it for me.
You beast.
Clark is gone. Now what about Jimmy lying down there? His skull's probably fractured. What about him?
I cannot concern myself with his welfare, nor have I time to get him medical aid.
You can't let him die.
Yes, that's what it is.
Even as Lois and Editor White plead with the Nazi commander, Superman is at work under the water. Quickly changing from Clark Kent to Superman, he swims underwater to the Nazi sub. And as Lois and White argue with the commander on the deck of Dr. Cameron's submarine...
To leave that boy here, I tell you.
Perhaps you can suggest some way of saving his life?
Your submarine is in working condition. You could take him aboard and sail him to the nearest port.
Yes, I told you before, I cannot spare it.
Great heavens, look. The Nazi submarine is rising clear of the water.
None of it. Cannot be. It is incredible.
Oh, look, underneath the submarine. They're holding it in his hand. Superman!
Superman again? Well, I must say
Yes,
that's
it's Superman. Oh, thank heaven.
I do not understand this. It's amazing. This flying sword is carrying my submarine in his hand. I'm going mad. We are all mad.
No, we're not mad,
He's
but...
coming down with the submarine. Look, Mr. White, he's going to land right alongside of us.
Yes. Well, we've dropped it down back into the water.
There, that's just to take you boys inside to fill up a little bit. Now then.
Jimmy, I cannot believe.
All right, Commander. Just give me that gun. Come on, you two, Hunt. Right out. Come on.
Superman. Thank heaven you've come. Jimmy.
Yes, I know. Mr. White, Dr. Cameron, bring Jimmy up on deck.
Yes, of course, right away. Come on, Leanne.
Yes, coming, Terry.
While they're getting Jimmy, I'll take care of the commander and his aide. First, the commander. Come here, you. Come on. Now, you two stooges.
Let me down. Let me down.
Up. I'm going to drop you down through your own conning tower, Commander, one at a time. You land inside your sub. I'd advise you not to show your nose outside of it again until we reach the American naval base I have in mind.
American naval base? No, you can't.
Oh, can't I? We'll see. Here you go, right down through the conning tower. Now, you, Hunt. Now, it's your turn, hello. Happy landing. There's White and Dr. Cameron bringing Jimmy up. Back to the deck of Dr. Cameron's sub.
Better take it easy with the boy, Superman. He's in a bad way.
I can see that. I'll handle him gently. I'm going to drop that Nazi U-boat off at an American naval base about 600 miles from here. There must be a surgeon there who can take care of Jimmy, if I'm in time. How's this pulse?
Oh, very low, I'm afraid.
I mustn't waste time, then. I'll just place Jimmy in position.
Before you go,
Quickly. There isn't time for talk.
Clark Kent, the commander shot him and he fell into the ocean.
Well?
He's below us somewhere. Is there anything you can do about him?
No, I'm afraid not. I have time now. Jimmy needs a doctor at once. You'll have to look for him. Now I must go. Up. Now down onto the deck of the U-boat. There we are. Now to get a good grip on this conning tower with one hand. There. So. And the U-boat in my grasp, I'll be in time to save Jimmy's life. I must. Up, and away!
With the quickly ebbing life of Jimmy Olsen, well, we'll know in tomorrow's episode. And what about our friends on Dr. Cameron's submarine? What further adventures will befall them? Well, there'll be plenty, we can tell you that. So be sure to tune in tomorrow and every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow the adventures of Superman.
Yes, be sure to tune in again tomorrow for another thrilling Superman episode. And don't forget what else you're going to do. You're going to buy war stamps as often as you can get Mother or Dad to give you a dime. Now, you know when you see that big capital S on a three-cornered shield, you recognize it as the emblem of Superman, and you know at once what it stands for. Likewise, when you see the capital letters U.S. on a war-saving stamp or bond, you recognize them as the emblem of Uncle Sam. And it represents a pledge from Uncle Sam to you. His pledge to use every dime you lend him for more bullets and guns and planes, and all the other things the American armed forces need to win a smashing victory from the Nazis and the Japs. So don't put off buying war stamps. Buy one every time you've got a dime. Remember, Uncle Sam is depending on you.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman. Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine. This is Mutual. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Fellows and girls, have you ever seen a squadron of American bombers roaring through the air in formation? Have you seen newsreel pictures of Uncle Sam's destroyers cutting through the seas on patrol in search of enemy subs and surface raiders? I'm sure you have. And I bet you were thrilled. You probably felt terribly proud, too. Well, if you've been buying war-saving stamps regularly, you have a right to be proud. Not only because those planes and those ships represent the fighting spirit of America, but because you helped to build them. Yes, sir. Every time you bought a war-saving stamp, your money helped buy the labor and materials that are used to make planes and ships and equipment to knock out the Nazis and the Japs. So, next time you hear some boy or girl on your block say, "Oh, shucks, what difference does it make if I buy one stamp or not? What difference can one dime make?" You tell them that it does make a difference. It makes a big difference. Tell them, for instance, that 5 dimes will buy enough fuel oil to take an American destroyer 1 full mile closer to its objective, or that 1 dime will buy 5 .45 caliber bullets. Tell them that if every boy and girl in the United States bought just one 10-cent war-saving stamp every day, it would add up to enough money to buy a lot of swift pursuit planes, with which our Army and Navy forces could blast the Axis out of the air. And while you're at it, you might remind them that this is one way that all you fellows and girls can help to win this war. Now, after all, everybody can't join Uncle Sam's armed forces, but all of us can buy war-saving stamps. So talk it over with Mother and Dad tonight. Tell them you want to help Uncle Sam win this war by buying war-saving stamps regularly, every single day if possible. And I'm sure they'll be glad to cooperate.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Superman and his companions in adventure, Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, and Editor Perry White of the Daily Planet, are now on an expedition headed by the eccentric Dr. Leander Cameron to find the lost continent of Atlantis, believed to be lying at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. In our last episode, we heard how Dr. Cameron's multi-depth submarine in bathysphere was attacked by a Nazi U-boat, and how Jimmy Olsen was critically injured. Superman saved our friends from harm, and carefully holding the injured Jimmy under one arm, grasped the Nazi sub with his free hand and flew with them to a Navy base 600 miles away. We resume our story today at the home of a Navy doctor at a certain American naval base. Our scene, the living room of the doctor's home. The doctor is seated in a chair reading a book as the telephone rings urgently. Yes? Yes, it's Dr. Crane. Lieutenant Forbes calling from the basin. I'll put him through. Hello. Yes, Lieutenant. What's that? A man dressed in a red cape and a blue... brought an enemy submarine in and left it. Flying. Carrying the submarine in his hands. Now, Lieutenant, have you been... He's on his way here. But that's impossible. No man can fly without a plane. Now, wait a minute. There's someone at the door now. I'll call you later. All right, I'm coming. Yes, what is it you... Great Scott. A man in a red cape and a blue suit.
No time for descriptions, Commander. This boy is critically injured. You've got to do something.
But where? How?
Please, Commander, I'll explain later. Right now, this boy is critically injured.
Yes, of course. Come in. Now then. Bring the boy into my operating room. In through here.
Yes, Commander. Yes.
How did all this happen?
Never mind that. The boy is suffering from a severe blow on the head. Following it, he bled from the nose and ears.
Sounds like a fractured skull. Put him on the table.
Yes. Oh, there, Jim. Everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, let me get his coat. Yeah. Who are you, sir? I told you flew in carrying a submarine in one hand and this boy in the other.
I'm called Superman.
Superman? Of course. I've heard of you, but I seriously doubted that you could exist. And to see you with my own eyes, Oh. Boy's pulse is very low. I'd better give him a stimulant. How did the accident occur?
Does that matter?
No, I suppose not. I'm just interested in knowing. Seem a little upset yourself.
I am. I'm worried. If this boy dies...
Yeah, we'll do our best to save him. Roll back his sleeve, please. I'll have this hypodermic ready in a second or two.
All right.
All right. There. That ought to help him a bit. I'll have to take an x-ray of his head. I've got to be absolutely sure of his condition before anything is done.
How long will that take?
Only a few moments. Wheel that table over here near the x-ray machine, will you? I'll get things ready while you're doing that.
Anything you say. About here?
No, that's just right. Now, let me move the camera over above his head.
All right.
There we are. Now I'll have the picture in no time at all. There. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll develop these in that dark room there at once.
Right. I couldn't see any broken bones in Jimmy's head, but then I may be wrong. No, I hope I haven't come too late. If I have, if anything happens to Jimmy, Jim, boy, can you hear me? Jim, you've got to pull through, you hear? The doctor's going to do everything he can for you, but you've got to help him. Can you hear me, Jim? Can you? I don't know whether he can hear me or not.
Pulse is getting a little stronger, though. Stimulant's beginning to work. Only... Doctor?
I think the boy's going to be all right.
What? You mean...
The X-ray shows a near fracture, but it's not as serious as we thought.
Oh.
A week or so ought to see him out of the hospital.
Thank heaven for that.
Now, look here, man. What about yourself? You must be exhausted.
Me? Oh, no. I've got to get back to...
Yes?
Oh, never mind. Doctor, I'm leaving this boy in your care. I'm sure I can depend on you to see him through this until his friends come to take him home.
I'm a Navy man, sir. You can depend on any Navy man.
Good. And I won't spend any more time here. I have other work to do.
Yes, but just a
Take
moment,
good care of that boy. Up, and away!
Meanwhile, aboard Dr. Cameron's multi-depth submarine in bathysphere...
But can't we wait until, well, maybe just until morning?
No, I'm sorry, Miss Lane, we can't. I've got to reach the spot where I believe Atlantis is located on schedule. I can't risk changing weather conditions and all that sort of thing.
But why, Leander?
We have a supply problem, you know, enough food for just such and such a length of time, oil for so many running hours, and so on. Minutes are precious to the success of our expedition, and we must not waste them.
I was hoping Nicodemus would take another day to fix those electric motors.
Fortunately, he located the trouble a lot quicker than we expected. Wonderful man, Nicodemus. Sensitive, but wonderful.
Well, I suppose you're right. But somehow I hate to leave this spot.
So do I. It was here at this spot that Clark was shot and fell overboard.
Yes, he threw his life away to save mine.
Somehow it's like tearing yourself away from the grave of a close friend.
I didn't realize that Kent meant so much to you, Lois.
I didn't either. He's gone now, and I miss him. You miss him, don't you?
Yes, very much. He was a real man, Lois. I regret the many times that I misjudged him.
Oh, another thing. I wonder if Superman reached a doctor before it was too late for Jimmy.
Don't worry, Lois. He didn't fail. He never does.
No, not with something he can control, but Jimmy might have died seconds after Superman left.
Well, all we can do now is hope for the best. How far are we, Leander, from the spot in the Atlantic where you believe we'll find the lost continent?
Well, as I figured, Perry, we should reach there in another 20 hours. Then, of course, our real work, I should say the real exciting part of our work, will begin.
I see. And how far down below the surface do you figure that Atlantis lies?
Well, I don't know exactly. The Atlantic Ocean in spots is over 6 miles deep.
What?
Well, you certainly don't expect to go down 6 miles into the ocean.
Oh, dear me, how silly women can be at times.
I resent that.
Now, Lois.
I didn't mean to insult you, but really, Mr. Lane, such remarks. Of course I don't expect to go down 6 miles below the surface. That would be impossible.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't think there was anything you couldn't do, Doctor. In fact, I've begun to think of you as a sort of scientific Superman.
Have you really? Well, I suppose I might be called that. My work is certainly superior to all others, and if I succeed in finding the lost continent of Atlantis...
Never mind all that chatter now, Leander. Now, get back to the subject. How far below the surface do you think we'll find the lost continent?
According to my reckoning, based on many years of scientific research, I would say we shall find Atlantis about 2 or 3 miles below the surface.
Now, wait a minute, Leander. Wait a minute. That's impossible. 2 or 3 miles below the surface? Why, we'd never be able to withstand the pressure.
No, of course not. Not if we were in an ordinary submarine, but in the Cameron multi-depth submarine in bathysphere, that will withstand water pressure to 3 miles, and perhaps more.
What about us? Will we be able to stand it?
With ease, as long as we remain in the compression tank.
Well, how does that work, Leander?
Very simple, Perry. Elementary, in fact. When the time comes to submerge to that tremendous depth, we shall all get into the compression tank. There we shall be perfectly comfortable and at our ease, so long as the pressure is maintained inside the tank that the human body can stand. You've probably noticed that one wall of the tank is the submarine itself, and that in it is set a large pressure-proof window made of specially designed glass through which we shall be able to see all that lies about us 2 or 3 miles below the surface.
Well, I'll say one thing, Leander. You convinced me you were right when we were in Metropolis, but there's a great difference in listening to you expound your theories in the safety of my office from listening to you inside this submarine of yours. Are you sure this tub will withstand the pressure of 3 miles below the surface?
If my tests mean anything, it will. And, sir, I resent your calling the Cameron multi-depth submarine in bathysphere a tub.
All right. I apologize. But do your tests mean anything?
A test is simply a test, Perry. One can't be really sure of anything new until the actual conditions are met and overcome.
I only hope that we overcome the conditions. I don't want the conditions to overcome us.
Joke. Excellent. I think the time has come for us to submerge again. The batteries must be charged by this time. Nicodemus?
Yes?
We'd better submerge now.
Who's running this submarine, you or me?
Well, really, Nicodemus.
I'll submerge when I'm good and ready.
And when will you be ready?
Ready now. We'll submerge.
That's just what I said. Submerge. A sensitive man, Nicodemus. Very sensitive.
Meanwhile, as the multi-depth submarine prepares to submerge, Superman arrives and hovers over it, suddenly realizing that he has a seemingly insoluble problem on his hands.
Now, what in the world am I going to do about this? How can I return aboard the submarine as Clark Kent without somehow explaining that I'm not dead? They all saw the German U-boat commander shoot me, and they saw me fall into the ocean, sink from view. Well, I am in a spot. Probably the worst spot in my entire career. I wonder how in the world I can get myself out of this.
Yes, how is Superman going to get himself out of this one? How can he possibly arrive aboard the submarine as Clark Kent when the others saw Kent topple from the deck and sink beneath the waves, apparently shot dead? Well, let's leave it to Superman to figure out, and let's be with him tomorrow to see how he does it. And be sure to listen every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman.
By all means, don't forget to tune in to Superman tomorrow for another thrilling and exciting episode. And don't forget to talk to Mother and Dad before you go to bed tonight about making arrangements to buy war-saving stamps regularly. Start the day off right tomorrow. Buy at least one 10-cent war-saving stamp first thing after breakfast. And remember what I told you at the beginning of this program. Every single dime is important because all our dimes put together can go a long way to help pay for the guns and tanks and planes and ships we need to knock out the Nazis and the Japs. And here's an idea. Why don't you get together with your friends tomorrow and make a joint pledge to buy war-saving stamps every time you've got a dime? See which of you can buy the most war-saving stamps every week and every month. In that way, you'll be doing your share to win this war.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
This is Mutual.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hand, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Fellows and girls, every day the city, state, and national offices of civilian defense organizations are swamped with letters from young people like yourselves. And most of these letters ask, what can I do, what part can I take in the national war effort? Now, the writers of these letters are all too young to join the United States Armed Forces, too young to join any of the numerous home defense groups. And yet they ask, isn't there something we can do? Some of you listening now are no doubt among those who have written these letters, and I'll bet many of you who have not written have thought the same thing. Well, the answer is a very simple one, and here it is. You can do your part in civilian defense. You can help win this war by buying war-saving stamps regularly. How does that help, you ask? How can my dime or 20 or 40 or 50 cents help to win this war? That's easy, too. For instance, your dime, just 10 cents, would buy 5 .45 caliber bullets that can be used by our soldiers, sailors, or Marines to knock 5 Japs or 5 Nazis out of commission. And believe me, it's going to take a lot of those bullets to knock them all out and win this war. Another thing, 50 cents, which represents 5 10-cent or 2 25-cent war-saving stamps, will buy enough fuel oil to bring one of our destroyers a full mile closer to the Jap fleet in the Solomon Islands. And you know what happens when our Navy gets close enough to turn on the heat. And here's one more thing for you to think over. If every fellow and girl in the United States bought at least 5 10-cent war-saving stamps every day, the amount of money they'd lend to the government would buy enough fighter planes and bombers to blast Hitler's Luftwaffe right out of the air. So remember that each and every dime is important, that buying war-saving stamps is a very important way to help win the war. So why not pledge today to buy war-saving stamps regularly? And keep in mind this slogan: every time you've got a dime, buy a war-saving stamp.
And now, the adventures of Superman. As you know, Editor Perry White of the Daily Planet is financing an expedition to locate the lost continent of Atlantis, believed to be lying at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Following a series of mishaps during which Jimmy was so seriously injured that Superman had to fly him to a naval hospital, our friends reached the spot in the Atlantic below which Dr. Leander Cameron, eccentric explorer and leader of the expedition, believes the lost continent will be found. As our last episode ended, Dr. Cameron's multi-depth submarine and bathysphere began the dive that will end, he believes, in the sighting of the lost continent of Atlantis 3 miles below the surface of the ocean. We join our friends now 1 mile below the surface, a depth no human being has ever descended to before. Listen.
A mile below the surface? Do you really mean that we're actually a mile below the surface?
Yes, Miss Lane, we're submerging rapidly.
Can't see a thing through this window. Everything's pitch black.
That's right. I thought you said, Leander, that we'd see all sorts of strange things.
We will, Perry, we will. I haven't switched on the searchlight yet.
Searchlight? Well, now, don't tell me this submarine is equipped with searchlights.
I might say, Miss Lane, that there's nothing with which this submarine is not equipped. Be prepared, that is my motto, along with the Boy Scouts of America.
Wish we had a few Boy Scouts here now. I'd feel safer, perhaps.
I'm not going to switch on the lights until we're 1.5 miles below the surface. In a little while, we should begin to see...
Wait, there's something now.
Where?
Yes, look, see it?
Gracious, what is it?
A fish.
A fish? Well, I don't see anything but 2 big white eyes and rows of long teeth gleaming in the dark.
That, if I'm right, is the Gonostoma pileatus.
Really? And what might that be?
A pickerel.
A pickerel. Now, look here, Leander. I am a freshwater fisherman. I've caught many pickerel in my time, and they don't look like that.
The Gonostoma pileatus is the saltwater cousin of the freshwater pickerel. It lives 1 mile below the surface of the ocean. This fellow is 40 times bigger than any pickerel you've ever caught, Perry, and his teeth are also 40 times bigger. Notice how they shine in the dark?
You mean they're luminescent?
That's right, Mr. Kent. From here on, we shall see nothing but luminescent fish. Fish that shine in the dark.
Well, I should think that would be quite necessary in this inky blackness.
Look, isn't that pretty?
Oh, yes, Lois. That's a beauty.
My heavens, look at the colors in that fish. Red, green, yellow, blue, and all lit up. Why, it looks like a swimming Christmas tree.
Wonderful, isn't it? Let me get to the phone. I want to tell Nicodemus about it. Nicodemus!
Yeah?
Nicodemus, did you see the Anthropomorphus Nococelsus?
What? You're crazy.
What do you mean?
That was a Mictophon punctatum.
You are out of your mind. That was no Mictophon punctatum. That was definitely an Anthropomorphus Nococelsus.
These zoophyctite fins were much too long, and any fool could see the Lamarian scales are much too close together.
You're just stubborn.
Didn't he agree?
He says it was a Mictophon punctatum. Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous.
No, Doctor, it really doesn't matter.
Well, whatever it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Just like a Christmas tree glowing in a dark room.
This is wonderful. I've never experienced anything like it.
How far down are we now, Doctor?
Well, now, let me see. Yes, 1.5 miles. Time to turn on the searchlight. We don't want to hit a projecting ledge or coral reef.
Or an Atlantean mountain peak.
Nicodemus,
Eh?
turn on the searchlight, Nicodemus.
Okay.
I still say that was an Anthropomorphus Nococelsus. I suppose you didn't see the Arancilia dactylometer depending from the Auralia?
You can't even pronounce it. It was a Mictophon punctatum. There's no doubt of it in my mind.
No doubt of it in his mind. He hasn't got a mind.
Uh-oh, there go the searchlights. Great heavens, look.
Oh, Clark, isn't it amazing? simply amazing.
Leander, I really don't care now whether we find Atlantis or not. I've seen everything there is to be seen.
I feel the same way, Mr.
Oh,
White.
I knew it would thrill you. It thrills me, too. Remember, I've never seen this before, either.
Well, if you've never seen all this before, how can you be sure you're right and Nicodemus is wrong?
What do you mean?
Well, he says that fish we saw was a Myctophum pictatum.
What was that again, Chief?
Nicodemus said that fish was a Myctophum pictatum. And Leander here says it was an Anthromolycus nostralis.
Now, why don't you just forget it, Chiefy? Those Latin names are a bit too much for you.
Now, look at here, Kent. I want to... What? Well, maybe I'd better. Better have that upper plate fixed.
Yeah.
Look, what's that? Clark. Great heavens, look.
That is a mammoth shark, Miss Lane, a veritable sea monster.
A mammoth shark.
Looks the size of a whale.
It is.
You mean to say that there are sharks as big as whales?
Of course, they have to be that big to withstand the pressure of a mile and a half below the surface.
Oh, which reminds me, how are we withstanding the pressure?
Well, we appear to be doing very well. Very well indeed. Ah, yes. Yes, in a short time we ourselves will look upon the ancient and now submerged land of Atlantis. A land where 9,000 years ago men and women lived as we live today. We shall see houses, roads, streets, buildings of all sorts. We shall see... What's that?
What?
I saw it only for a moment. Caught in the beam of the searchlight.
That thing there? It looks like an eel.
Certainly, that's all it is, an eel. Pretty big eel. But as you say, Leander, what's the matter? You're turning pale.
Give me that phone.
Leander, what is it?
Nicodemus.
Never mind, Doc. I've seen it, too.
Surface at once.
I'm servicing, Doc.
What's the matter, Doctor?
Look at that eel. Look at it now.
What? Why, it can't be an eel. It looks like a lot of tangled giant eels.
It's a devilfish, an octopus, a giant octopus. Yes, by heavens, and it's seen us.
A giant octopus.
Oh, 40 to 60 times larger than the ordinary octopus. Parrot, we must get away from it. We must.
Are we starting toward the surface?
Yes.
Hadn't we better turn off our searchlight?
No, the octopus can stay in the dark. We can't escape him that way. Pray to heavens he doesn't come after us, that he really doesn't see us.
Beginning to move up toward us from the depths.
I'm sure it's moving toward us.
Those tentacles. Look at them. They're as big as fire hoses.
He's seen us. We're in a bad spot, I'm afraid. A very bad spot. The phone. Nicodemus.
Yeah?
Nicodemus, what do you think?
Well, I think he's going to come for us, Doc.
We must do something.
Is there anything we can do, Nicodemus?
Nothing except trying to keep away from him.
Then why don't you? We're not rising very fast.
What's the matter with you? You know I can't rise any faster than the compression tanks will take it. You want a case of the bend?
Rather a case of the bends, Nicodemus, and no body left with which to have them.
Nah.
That thing will crush us like an eggshell if it gets a hold of us.
It's coming up fast. Tell you what I'll do, Doc. I'll level out and try to get away from it that way. Can't do it by trying to reach the surface.
No, don't do that. Keep rising. We may be able to reach a depth where the giant octopus can't go.
I never thought of that.
Keep surfacing, then. We'll see what happens.
What did you mean, Doctor, when you said we'd reach a depth where the octopus can't go?
Well, you see, Kent, these fish live at great depths because they're accustomed to them. They build up an internal pressure that reacts against the external pressure. In brief, they can only live at tremendous depths.
Oh.
Once they reach a normal pressure, the internal pressure blows them apart because there's nothing to hold it in.
I
Well,
see.
how far do we have to go yet before we reach that point?
Just a moment, I'll check the gauge.
Oh, it's horrible. Look at that thing swimming up toward us. It's like a huge head with tremendous arms attached to it. It's gruesome.
Yes, isn't it? Look at those big suction cups on its arms.
We're moving away from the thing, but it's coming on fast. The question is, will it overtake us before we get too high for it to follow?
Oh, we just got to wait and see.
Oh, if only Superman were here.
I doubt if there's anything he could do.
Oh, of course you doubt it. If Superman were here, he'd get out through the escape chamber and kill that thing.
I've been wondering about that. He could get out through the escape chamber, of course, but how would he get out of this compression chamber?
Well, what do you mean, Kent?
Well, it seems to me if the door of the compression chamber was open, we'd all die. There's a tremendous pressure outside there. A pressure you wouldn't be able to withstand for more than a second or two. What do you think this compression chamber is for, anyway?
You're right. I never thought of that. What the devil are we discussing Superman for, anyway? He's not here, and he can't help us.
Yes, I'm afraid you're half right, anyway.
The suspense is awful. Look, that horrible octopus is gaining on us. That tremendous head, those long, horrible tentacles.
Hold on to yourself, Lois.
What's the point of holding on to myself when we haven't a chance? We're going to be crushed by that huge and disgusting thing.
Easy, Lois, easy. Nothing's happened yet. We may get away from it.
Leander, can't we rise any faster than this?
Well, Nicodemus is doing the best he can, Perry.
Well, then his best isn't good enough. That thing is going to catch us, sure as shooting.
Well, the gauge is reading a mile below the surface. We can rise to 3/4 of a mile before the devilfish reaches us. I think we may be safe.
What do you mean you think we may be safe?
It's impossible, Mr. Kent, to gauge the pressure accurately. I don't know just how much or how little pressure that octopus can stand.
Lois, what?
Look, against the window.
A suction cup. A suction cup from one of those tentacles. The answer has reached us. We're caught in its tentacles.
Not yet. No, not too quickly.
Look for yourself against the glass. It's as big as a platter.
Yes, I see it. There's nothing I can do now. Nothing anyone can do unless there's one last chance. Nicodemus.
Yes?
We rise no faster than this.
No, Doc. We're rising just as fast as we can. It's impossible to go any faster.
But we've got to go up faster. The octopus has one arm around us already.
There are more now.
We've got to reach a pressure he can't stand.
Wait a minute. What's that?
It's the motor. The octopus has wrapped his arms around us. He's pulling us down, and the motors can't pull against him.
The gauge. Look at the gauge. We're going down again. We're sinking.
I'm afraid there's nothing we can do now. Nothing at all.
Is there really nothing that can be done to stop the monster of the deep, the mammoth octopus whose many powerful tentacles are wrapped around the submarine, dragging it and our friends down into the bottommost depths of the Atlantic? Superman, it seems, is helpless, for he cannot leave the compression chamber without killing the others in it. What can Superman do now? How will he resolve this situation? Well, be sure to listen Monday and every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow the adventures of Superman.
Well, there goes Superman until Monday. Meanwhile, don't let the weekend go by without buying your share of war savings stamps. And remember what I told you at the beginning of this program, you fellows and girls who are too young to join the armed forces or any of the national defense organizations. You can do your part. You can help win this war by buying war savings stamps. So let's make a pledge right now to buy war savings stamps regularly. Talk it over tonight with Mother and Dad. Ask them to give you a dime every day or even every other day for war savings stamps. And then buy some extra ones out of your regular weekly allowance. And see if you can't get your friends to buy stamps regularly, too. Or better yet, why not organize a war savings stamp club right in your neighborhood? And make this your club slogan. Every time you've got a dime, buy a war savings stamp.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
This is Mutual.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hand, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Fellows and girls, as you know, a new war front has been opened by our fighting forces. Welcome newspaper headlines every day shout the thrilling news made by our soldiers, sailors, and Marines. American troops are now in the picture with every ounce of their combined strength. They're in there punching for all they're worth, fighting, slashing straight through to victory. And back here at home, we're cheering them on, giving them moral support. But cheers and congratulations are not enough. We've got to see that the government has the money with which to finance these victories. How? Simply by buying all the war-saving stamps and bonds we possibly can. By doing without things we would ordinarily want to buy so that the money we'd spend may be used for war-saving stamps. And don't ever think that each and every dime isn't important. Remember that 10 cents will buy 5 .45 caliber bullets for our fighting men. 5 dimes will buy enough fuel oil to carry one of our destroyers a full mile in chase of Jap or Nazi subs. And just think, if every fella and girl in the United States were to buy a 10-cent war-saving stamp every day, the total amount would soon buy enough bombers and fast fighter planes to blacken the skies over Germany and Japan. And here's another thing we can all do. As you probably know, the Treasury has asked us to put back in circulation all the pennies and nickels we've been saving, because the metals used in making these coins is vital to the war effort. And if the mint were to make more pennies and nickels, it would result in the manufacture of less guns and tanks and planes. So tonight, ask Mother and Dad for permission to break open your penny and nickel bank. Then take all these coins and turn them in for war-saving stamps. So remember this. Every time that you've got a dime, 2 nickels, or 10 pennies, remember that a stamp a day will pave the way to victory.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Our friends are now in the midst of one of the most exciting adventures of their career, on a search for the lost continent of Atlantis, an ancient civilization believed to lie at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. In our last episode, we heard how they began the descent in Dr. Cameron's multi-depth submarine, which they hoped would end in locating the lost continent. But terrible dangers were in store for them. As they reached the depth of 1.5 miles beneath the surface of the Atlantic, a mammoth octopus, 40 times larger than an ordinary octopus, attacked the submarine. Our friends were helpless, because for once it seemed Superman could do nothing. Listen.
Oh, it's horrible. Look at that hideous thing swimming toward us. It's like a huge head with tremendous arms attached to it. Arms as big as fire hoses. Oh, Mr. White, if only Superman were here.
What could Superman do?
If Superman were here, he'd get out through the escape chamber and kill that horrible and disgusting thing.
I've been wondering about that. Superman could get out of the escape chamber, but how would he get out of this compression tank?
You're right, Kent. If the door of this compression tank was opened, we'd all die. There's a tremendous pressure outside there. A pressure none of us would be able to withstand.
That's exactly right, Perry. If the door of this compression tank was opened, we'd die almost instantly.
Look, what?
Up against the window.
A suction cup. A suction cup from one of those tentacles. Leander, it's reached us. We're caught in its tentacle.
What's that?
It's the motors. The octopus is dragging us down into the depths. He's wrapped his arms around us and is pulling us down. The motors can't pull against it.
The gate. Look at the gate. We're going down again.
There's nothing we can do now. Nothing at all.
Great heavens, we've got to do something. If we're dragged down beyond the 3-mile point, the submarine will begin to crack up.
Crack up is hardly the phrase, Miss Lane. If we go down beyond 3 miles, the reaction on this submarine will be similar to a sledgehammer hitting an egg crate. The pressure will smash us into a pulp.
Well, what are we going to do?
Yes, Doctor, isn't there anything we can do?
Nothing but await our end quietly and with fortitude.
No, there must be something. You're a scientist. You ought to have made some preparations for an emergency like this.
Please, Mr. Kent, we mustn't lose control.
For heaven's sake,
Control? Who can control himself at a time like this? I gotta get out of here. I can't stand being enclosed in a small space, that frightful thing dragging us down into the depths.
Get away from that door, Mr. Kent.
You just try and make...
You fool, open that door, Kent, and we'll all last about 10 seconds.
10 seconds?
You heard me, 10 seconds.
Cleverly, Superman, in his disguise of Clark Kent, leads Dr. Cameron into telling him just how long that door can be opened before Lois, White, and Cameron, ordinary mortals, feel the effects of the pressure. Instantly, as Superman, he makes his decision. And as Clark Kent begins to act the part of the coward.
I'm frightened. I'm scared, I tell you, scared.
Kent, for the love of heaven, stop it. We're all scared. But we're doing our darndest not to show it.
I'm not built that way. If I'm frightened, I'm frightened, and that's all there is to it. Oh, look! Look!
What is it?
That octopus. Wrapping more and more tentacles around the sub. See there. The suction cups against the window. Oh, it's horrible. It's revolting.
Oh, Clark, please.
I can't die like this without a chance to save myself. I can't just stand here waiting.
And for heaven's sake.
I can't stand it, I tell you. I can't stand it another minute.
Catch him, he's fainting.
Oh.
The lights have gone out.
Yes, Clark's hand must have caught on the light switch as he fell.
Well, I know where the switch is. I'll snap the lights on again.
Yes, Perry, and hurry.
Oh, wait a minute. Here we... Leander.
Perry, what is it?
Why, the switch has been ripped out of the wall. I can't turn the lights on.
Oh, fudge. Kent must have held onto it as he fell, and the weight of his body ripped it out. Well, since we're going to die, I suppose it don't matter much.
Oh, dear, if only Superman were
He
here.
couldn't do a thing, Lois, and you know
Oh,
it.
yes, he could. I don't know how, but Superman could find a way.
Superman has found a way, Lois. You and the others think that Clark Kent is lying at your feet in the dark. But actually, Clark Kent has become his real self, Superman. Slowly, carefully, stealthily in the dark, His hand reaches toward the handle of the door that seals our friends in the compression chamber. He turns the handle.
What was that noise?
Sounded like the handle of the door, but it couldn't be that.
No, of course not.
But it is, Lois. And now Superman's job lies before him. He has got to open and close the door of the compression tank in less than 10 seconds. He has got to open it against the tremendous pressure that exists outside. Can he do it? He must do it. And he does. And even though the entire operation has taken only 2 seconds, Lois, Editor White, and Dr. Cameron gasp for air and feel their heads growing dizzy from the effects of the pressure.
What happened?
You know, I feel dizzy. My head is swimming.
Pressure. Feels to me like pressure. And I thought I heard the door open. I thought, no, impossible. Couldn't be.
My head's clearing now a little. My eyes are beginning to focus. Mr. White, are you all right?
I think so. I got a pain in my head like a throbbing headache, but otherwise, great heavens.
What is it, Mr. White?
Why, it's impossible. No, it couldn't be.
I see what you mean, Perry. My head's beginning to clear, too. The arms of that octopus are sliding along the wind as if something were dragging him away from it.
You're right. The suction cups are straining to hold onto the glass, but look, they're sliding off.
What was that?
What?
Didn't you see it, that flash of red and blue out there?
Red and blue? No, it can't be. That would be too much to ask.
It is, Mr. White, it is. Look through the glass. It's Superman.
Superman?
Yes, I see. He's pulled that monster octopus away from the sub. And now they're both getting ready to do battle.
Oh, I can't watch. It's horrible.
Well, I'm going to watch it, I can tell you that. There's never been a battle like this in the world before.
Oh, you're right, Perry. Absolutely right. Look there. The octopus coiling its many arms, getting ready to attack.
Oh, no.
Superman is treading water, waiting for it. There it goes for it. If Ken could only see this.
Oh, poor Clark. Isn't there something we can do for
No,
him?
Lois, no. He's better off as he is. He'll come around all right.
The octopus, it's wrapped every one of those powerful arms around him. It's going to try to crush him.
Those tentacles are like fire hoses. What strength there must be in them. Oh, no, Superman or not, he can't withstand anything like that.
But he is, Perry, he is. Look, oh, great Jupiter, look. He's starting to tie those arms in knots.
Why, heaven, you're right. He's having a tough time doing it. In fact, I'm not sure that he can.
He must.
Leander, what's that black stuff filling the water? It looks as if somebody poured a huge bottle of black ink into the water.
It's the black liquid the octopus throws off the smoke screen, Perry. It's a horrible choking sort of substance.
Great heavens. Superman's having a tough enough time as it is. He no longer gets one arm from around him, and the octopus wraps another's around him. Why, this is terrible.
The water's getting inkier. It's almost impossible to see, but I believe...
Lois.
Mr. White.
Lois.
They're sinking down out of sight, Superman and the octopus, fighting each other and sinking further into the depths.
They're not sinking down. The octopus is dragging Superman down, dragging him down into his cage.
Oh, no.
I'm afraid that's what's happening, Perry. It looks as if your friend Superman has met more than his match at last in a monster of the ocean depths.
I can't believe it. He was still fighting. I could see that. Fighting courageously. Perhaps he'll win through after all.
What was that?
Nicodemus calling us by phone from the other compression chamber. Yes, Nicodemus?
Trouble.
What?
We've got trouble.
Don't I know it? We've been watching that fight going on out there between Superman and the giant octopus.
I don't mean that. We've sprung a leak.
With what?
According to the gauges here, we've sprung a leak.
What is it, Leander?
Wait a minute, Perry. Nicodemus, what you say is impossible. The motor-depth submarine in bathysphere will withstand pressure to 3 miles below the surface of the Atlantic Ocean or any ocean.
It isn't the pressure alone, Doc. It's that octopus. The crushing power of those tentacles must have weakened one of our plates. Water is pouring into the sub outside these compression chambers, and, well, take a look at your gauge.
The gauge? The gauge? Oh, yes, Nicodemus. We can't see the gauge in here. The lights are out.
Well, my gauge reading is almost 2 miles below the surface, and we're sinking all the time.
Leander, what is it? In the name of heaven, man.
Oh, we're in a bad way, Perry, Miss Lane.
Doctor, what is...
You might as well know the truth. We're finished. The submarine has sprung a leak, and we're descending fast.
Sprung a leak?
What do you mean?
Why, that
Well,
means...
it means a number of things. We may sink below to the 3-mile limit and be crushed like an eggshell by the pressure, or we may never reach that 3-mile limit, and the sub's been weakened, and the pressure may crush us in any moment.
What was that?
The motor stopped.
Oh.
Nicodemus.
The water's gotten to the batteries, Doc. The motors have gone dead. You know what that means, don't you?
No, not exactly.
The compressors sending air into these compression tanks work off separate batteries, but they're going to go any minute.
Great Jupiter.
What is it now? We can't have any more trouble than we've got.
Oh, can't we? Nicodemus tells me that the batteries controlling the compressors will be the next to stop working.
Well, what are the compressors?
The compressors are the machines that shoot compressed air into these tanks. Once they stop working, we'll all die of strangulation in less than 5 minutes.
If we're not crushed to death before that happens.
Yeah.
Isn't there anything we can do? Must we just sit here in the dark, just waiting, doing nothing? Oh, if only Superman knew what has happened now.
Well, he's got his hands full out there with that octopus.
Yes, that's right.
Nicodemus.
Yes,
Gauge reading.
gauge reading. 2 miles, 12 fathoms. Sinking fast.
What did he say?
We are now 2 miles and 12 fathoms below the surface of the ocean and sinking fast. There's no doubt whatever in my mind that there's nothing we can do now. This is the end.
Never before have our friends been in such a dangerous and futile position. There is literally nothing they can do. And what of Superman? Dragged down into the ocean depths by the fearful mammoth octopus, will Superman overcome the monster, or has even he at last met his match? Be sure to be with us tomorrow for one of the most exciting episodes you've ever heard. Listen every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman.
Don't forget, fellows and girls, as you read the thrilling stories of American victories on land, at sea, and in the air, just cheering our fighting forces isn't enough. We've got to give them more support. We must show them we're behind them by buying all the war-saving stamps and bonds we possibly can. We've got to sacrifice some of the things we'd like to have so that the money we'd spend can be loaned to the government through purchases of more and more war-saving stamps and bonds. So let's show the boys on our fighting front that here, back home, we're doing our share to win this war by buying a war-saving stamp every time we've got a dime, and by telling our family and friends that this Christmas we'd rather have war-saving stamps and bonds as Christmas gifts than things we can do without. Keep in mind that a stamp a day will pave the way to victory.